Happy almost New Year. I know a lot of folks right now are turning to 2026, one, wondering how we got here so quickly, but also thinking about what they want to be putting their attention into. And you might be thinking, hey, I want to make New Year's resolutions, but I've never been really successful at it. And don't worry, you're not alone. The vast majority of New Year's resolutions don't make it out of the second month of the year. And it's not because the idea of New Year's resolutions are somehow like bad or wrong, but the way we approach them just isn't very effective. If you don't know me, I'm Dr. Jessica Borshak. I'm a clinical psychologist and expert in acceptance and commitment therapy. And I wanted to walk you step by step through building New Year's resolutions that are hopefully going to last you through all of 2026. So let's get started. The first step, and maybe kind of the boring one, is understanding why New Year's resolutions don't stick. Oftentimes, when we're looking to the future and we're thinking about making big changes, we get excited, we're filled with passion, with motivation, we're going like, oh my God, this year's gonna be my year for an absolute transformation. I'm gonna change my job, I'm gonna exercise more, I am going to eat healthier, I am going to start dating or start a new hobby or whatever it is that's important to you. The problem is people usually start with that passion and that excitement and use it to build out a plan that just isn't really sustainable. People often fail their New Year's resolutions for 3 reasons. Number 1, they start too big. So a lot of the times, and I'm gonna use exercise for an example because it's one that I hear time and time again that come up. Your New Year's resolution might be nothing related to exercise or fitness at all. But people will go from, I maybe sporadically exercise or I don't exercise at all to I'm gonna exercise 5 days a week. And the truth is, you're just not going to do that. Or if you are, it's not gonna be sustainable in the long term because number 2, you haven't set up the framework for introducing a new behavior or a new habit into your everyday routine. A lot of times we get really excited and we just try to like force something totally new that takes time, energy, money, focus, what other people, whatever it is, into our existing life without any kind of thought about how that's going to be accommodated. And oftentimes doing that in kind of slower transitions over time, and we'll talk about what that looks like, is more effective than just using excitement alone to jump right into it. The third reason that New Year's resolutions tend to fail is they're not connected back to necessarily something that's meaningful to us. I can say, hey, I'm gonna set a goal of exercising 3 days a week, which might be pretty reasonable for me, but I'm not taking the time to tie it back to why that actually matters. Maybe I am trying to improve my cardiovascular endurance so I can go on hikes more. Maybe I want to do more strength training because my back's been hurting a lot more lately and I want to be able to, like, when I'm older, easily get off cushy couches and things like that so I can be independent for longer periods of time. You know, keep up with kids, run around with grandkids, go on that bucket list vacation you've always wanted to go on and experience things, spend time with family. When we have goals, but they're not tied to what an act we call values, it's very easy if we don't have like that continuous motivation to just kind of skip through those goals because they're not tied to anything that's super meaningful to us. So I'm gonna walk you through building a New Year's resolution that hopefully will move you through and give you kind of an idea of how to make those changes in your life for next year and beyond. The first thing is starting with thinking about what is something that you really want to do more of, change, take a step in the direction of for the new year. It could be exercise, it could be eating at home more, it could be learning a new skill, it could be changing careers or growing a friend group or dating or getting reconnected with your community or your faith or spiritual background. Million things out there. There's nothing that's too small or insignificant or silly. I want it to be really unique to you. For me, my New Year's resolution is to start posting more videos this year. I haven't posted a YouTube video in like 2 years, I think, and I set a goal that I just wanted to post one by the end of the year. And this is my literal one that I'm posting by the end of the year. So I want to do something different for 2026 to make it a little bit more meaningful. Take a second, write it down on a piece of paper. What is the one step that you want to commit to in the new year? Okay, cool. The next is take a step back and think about what is meaningful to you about this. The who, the what, the why. Why did you pick this specific one? What is important to you in terms of how your life might change? For me, YouTube videos, this is not something that really helps pay the bills. It's not necessary for my primary job, which is doing private practice and seeing clients in individual therapy. Sure, I've gotten some leads over time and I make like a very little amount of money from ad revenue, which is exciting, but doesn't necessarily cover my gas bill. This is meaningful to me because so many people don't have access to therapy for a variety of reasons. And I want to take the really great evidence-based work that I know, that I love, that's been helpful for me, helpful for my clients, and make it more accessible to more people in a way that doesn't have kind of a paywall or anything like that that's in the way. If I were to distill that down of like, okay, well, why does that matter to me? I want to help people. I want to share. I truly believe that I can make a meaningful impact and help someone look at something in a different way. It's also a little bit of a creative outlet for me. I started taking sewing classes this year, which was really fun. So you might have kind of a creative hobby that you want to get back into. So I would say if I could distill it down into maybe 2 or 3 words, it would be helping others and creativity. So take some time and write down what are those handful of words that capture why this really matters to you. And I'd be mindful if you like lower it down and just get to another goal. So for example, with exercise or like eating healthy, which is way too broad of a category, people might say like, oh, I want to lose weight or I want to hit this number. Okay, cool. That's another goal, right? It's something that we can kind of check off and do. When we're thinking about values, we're thinking about what is this like quality or characteristic that we want to be continuously moving forward. So even if you do check off that goal, you're still using that as a guide for moving forward. So if your goal is, get to a certain number or exercise X number amount of times per week or change your job, whatever it is, just keep asking yourself why. Why does that matter? How is that consistent with the person that you want to be? How does that change your life in some kind of way? It might be that you want to change your career not because you're super passionate about the material or, what you're doing, but because you want to pivot into something that is better work-life balance so you can be more present for your family or you can take better care of your health if you have a chronic illness. Maybe changing careers allows you to make more money so you can, be a homeowner one day or move out of a place or away from somewhere or to somewhere that's really important to you. But that might be financial stability. It might be connection and time with loved ones. It might be growth and learning and knowledge. But thinking about, okay, like what's the why? If we just strip away all of those goals, what are we left with? You can pause this video, take some time to really, sometimes writing it out can help you like, why? How is this important to me? Distill it down. Okay. So you have your values, you have your why, and you have your kind of what of what you want to be moving towards. Awesome. Next, I want you to think about what your life looks like now. And if we could take the teeniest step forward. So it might not be the 5 days a week of exercise. It might be, exercising for 5 minutes. When you think about how that can fit into your life as it currently exists, with the resources you currently have, with the energy and demands and responsibilities that you currently have, because that's not just going to magically go away. Where does that fit in your life reasonably? It is way more important to have more times of doing something, even if it's for a shorter period of time. So again, exercising, going for a 10-minute walk versus every day versus exercising for an hour, 4 days a week. Because what you're doing is you're stamping in or like blocking out when this new thing that's important to you will fit into your schedule, and that can be expanded. Like you can add more time to that, but as long as you're kind of consistently doing it. I will talk to clients, for example, who want to get into a regular like mindfulness meditation practice. And they'll start off with like, I'm going to meditate 30 minutes a day. You're not. Unless you have a long history of meditating, like you're probably just going to fall asleep or space off and think about something else. Like it is really hard. It's like going from 0 to 60 real fast. But instead I'll say, okay, well, pick a certain time a day. Pick a couple of days a week, like however that works into your schedule. And know that when that time comes, you are going to meditate. It could be a 10-minute meditation video. It could be just sitting here for 5 breaths and noticing your breath in, breath out. Noticing how your chest and belly moves. Notice how your mind is resisting the idea of just noticing your breath. How it's jumping forward to planning, analyzing, just catching it and bringing it back to this moment. That was 5 breaths. If you can consistently add in something to your life, even if it's for a teeny bit of time, you're going to have the chance to expand that out. So find when in your schedule you're going to add it in. Whatever you come up with, I would recommend like cutting that down maybe by half, whether it's time or frequency, whatever it is. We often, because we're inspired, because we're really excited, because this matters to us, we create way loftier goals for starting off. And usually I will say to people, like, if you're not succeeding, it's not because you failed or you did something wrong. We just bit off more than we can chew. We came up against some barriers that we weren't expecting or anticipating, or we hoped that our like motivation would just plow through, and that's usually not the case. So start off with like 10% of what you're coming up with, seeing if you can break something down into smaller and smaller pieces. So pause, figure that out. Pull out your planner, calendar, whatever it is. Okay. The next step is what is going to remind you to do this. Now, I am very old school. I have a paper planner. It's because I have ADHD and I forget that digital things exist unless they're open in my face. And so I need something that's just open on a desk. This is open on my desk. I have it color coded. I write down when things are happening so I know when I'm supposed to do different things. You might have a different type of calendar. You might have different reminders that you could set. You might have a Post-it note that you put on your mirror when you're brushing your teeth to remember to take 5 breaths. Whatever it is, think about what are the ways that you can remind yourself to do this activity. Because remember, you're potentially adding in something that you're not currently doing. So it's not going to naturally pop up in your head of like, oh yeah, it's time to do this thing. No, we're going to go on with how life has normally been. This can be reminders on your phone. It can be alarms. You can click, at least I know for iPhones, you can click on the alarm and like change what the title of the alarm says. Post-it notes, using like Alexa or one of those kind of things. I don't want to activate her. planners, all of that kind of stuff. I would not put the responsibility on another person to remind you of something. You can find people who are going to be great accountability buddies for you, letting people know in your household, close friends in your life, for example, hey, I'm really committed to working on this. Can you help support me? And here are the ways you can support me. But I wouldn't make someone else responsible for reminding you of things. That's something that you want to have in your own system instead of adding a job to someone else. So think for a second, and I would honestly pause this video and go and do that. If it's a Post-it note, if it is, a little thing, a little statue thing that you have, if it's your sneakers by the front door, if it's a recipe book on the counter, if it's a list of the thing, whatever it is, go and set that up right now. Okay, the final thing is, what happens when you try to implement this stuff and all the normal barriers come up? Thoughts, feelings, memories, physical sensations, urges, just straight up avoidance. We've all been there. It can be things that we're actively doing. It could be things that are happening in our mind, like analyzing, planning. My perfectionist clients love to develop the perfect system, and then they will do something I need to get a new journal, or I need to get a whole new organizational system for something, the perfect planner, and then I can start. Usually that's an avoidance strategy. And while yes, there are certain tools that might make things easier, I would honestly recommend start messy. And then if you need kind of some external rewards, you can go buy that thing, or you can go spend time creating that list once you've hit a certain point in the process. Otherwise, we would use that thing that otherwise would be avoidance strategy as a reward system for you. I talk in my other videos kind of the ways that ACT can help you do that. I'm hoping to put out some videos that talk about different kind of skills that you can use when you're noticing some of these patterns and avoidance coming up. I do have a course that's paid for called the Anxious Adults Academy on my website. This is not an ad for it. You do not have to buy it. But if you like just having kind of a sequence of events to follow, that can be useful. But I'm going to post free videos walking through what are the things to do when you're really stuck or fused with maybe some of these thoughts, or there's anxiety showing up in your body, or things that are just showing up and getting in the way. But at the end of the day, I always want you to come back to that why. Why does this matter? How is this consistent with the person that I want to be? What is that kind of compass or true north that I'm following? And this is kind of just one of those mile markers on the way. If we start with values, if you start with, hey, how is this actually meaningful to me in my life? It is a lot easier to do the hard thing, or at least it makes sense. Hey, I'm struggling now, but there's a reason for it. And it's not something that's just totally arbitrary. So I hope that this video helps give you a better understanding of how to make New Year's resolutions that are doable within your real life and connected to a deeper meaning, so that it gives you that kind of staying power when that excitement, that buzz, that new shiny feeling goes away, as it inevitably will. Remember, you can show up even if you don't feel like it. It's harder, for sure. Motivation, great. But you can do hard things. And even if your mind's telling you that you can't do it, just pick the smallest, teeniest, tiny step forward and work on building that consistency before you work on scaling it out. And I will see you in the new year.